A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew.
Glory to you, Lord.
Jesus said to his disciples, "Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' will enter the kingdom of heaven. Only the one who does the will of my Father in heaven. Many will say to me on that day, 'Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name? Did we not drive out demons in your name? Did we not do mighty deeds in your name?' Then I will declare to them solemnly, 'I never knew you. Depart from me, you evildoers.' Everyone who listens to these words of mine and acts on them will be like a wise man who built his house on rock. The rain fell, the floods came, and the winds blew and buffeted the house. But it did not collapse. It had been solidly set on rock. And everyone who listens to these words of mine but does not act on them will be like a fool who built his house on sand. The rain fell, the floods came, the winds blew and buffeted the house, and it collapsed and was completely ruined." My sisters and brothers, the gospel of the Lord.
Thank you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Did you know there's only 3 more shopping days till Lent? Ash Wednesday, thankfully, isn't commercialized. But as we come into that season that calls us to a deeper looking at ourselves and where we're called to grow, it's good to take stock of ourselves and inventory. It's good to in some way do that personal inventory every day, but in a deeper, richer way during the Lenten season. See what the Lord is calling us to do, and that we do not harden our hearts, but rather listen to His voice. So, a little survey here, a little inventory. You're not going to have to say this to anybody. I'm not going to ask anybody to share. This is for your benefit going within, because, as I've probably mentioned here before, one of the most important dialogues we're called to have is with our ourselves. Sometimes we can't be out of touch with ourselves and out of touch with the Spirit of the living God who's deep within us. So try this for size. On a scale of 1 to 10, for your own benefit, where would you put yourself in terms of how rock solid is your faith? 10 would be very solid. Anything can happen, a struggle, a hurt, a loss, whatever comes your way, your faith is grounded, it's solid, it runs deep. 1. Faith kind of shaky. Maybe kind of on shifting sand. Kind of tenuous. Not sure exactly what it could deal with if there was a struggle. And again, wherever we are, that's where we are. And God calls us to grow. Calls us as we do this inventory, not simply to put ourselves down, but to see the direction we need to go in. Look at the season of Lent as an opportunity to take another step of growing in faith as the foundation of our lives. Many of you know I was a pastor for 15 years and had a wonderful opportunity at that time to work closely with the people in the RCIA. And it was always good seeing these people, some of them were 20, some of them, there was probably the oldest was 75. All on a journey of faith, wanting to grow, become part of our Catholic Christian community. And I remember a number of years ago, a fellow named John, he certainly stood out in the journey because his faith just seemed so solid, and he was on the journey, he was engaged, his fiancée was Catholic, and so looking into this faith, he had a strong faith background in another tradition, and just had a real sense of love for the Lord. He would often answer wisely when we'd ask questions. When sometimes we had spontaneous prayer, we'd enter into that and offer prayer. You just saw what a vibrant faith and a vital life we had. How wonderful this couple seemed that they would be one day being married, sharing this deep faith. Well, this would sometimes happen. A couple weeks before Lent, that particular year, that he was to take that next step of growth in faith and look forward to the Easter vigil when he would come to full communion in the church. He called me up, and basically he told me that he didn't think it was going to go on. And I have to admit, this really stunned me because of his fervor in his faith. And then he went on to say that the fiancé who was preparing to marry broke up, and it was sudden. And she actually went back with an old boyfriend that she had gone with a few years earlier. And so understandably, John was hurt. He was angry. And I certainly was open to him sharing that. That had to be off. And he did. And then he went on to say, I don't know that I'm in any of this God stuff. Here I am, here I was taking this journey, doing all that. What good did it give me anyway? And again, I can understand that initial reaction because of what he was going through. Lots of folks, when they have a difficult struggle or hurt in their life, can wonder, God, where are you? But he basically said, I'm coming back to our say, that's it, I'm done. Why get close to God? Look what happens. And I talked to him a little bit about that, but I also knew I had to let him go. And sometimes any parent or any friend, any family member needs to let somebody go. You've shared with them. Well, can't force people. And I also knew this wasn't the best time to talk. He was a hurt God. And basically, I just gave him a God. And that's what any of us can do with folks. Just say, God, yours God, you're there, you'll be with them through it all. If you can touch them, help them, whatever. And I was able to let it go. And I thought about it from time to time, but because he lived in Cleveland, he was coming down to Akron because his fiancée was in Akron. They were hoping to live here eventually. So I lost touch with him. Well, a couple years went by, actually, and he called me on the phone, and that also was surprising, and to hear him, and he said, well, Father, he said, I'm up in Cleveland, I'm in a parish here, and I've decided to go through the RCIA again. And my initial thought, and I almost said it out loud, but I'm glad I didn't. I thought, probably found another Catholic girl. And I thought that. But I bit my lip just to listen. And here's basically the essence of what he shared. He said that, he really thought about it over the last couple of years. And he wasn't dating anybody at that point in time, although he was open. But he was able to look back over time now with some healing. And he recognized, and again, the essence of what he said to me is he came to a deep awareness that he didn't have initially in his hurt and anger. And as he said, he realized the center of his life was more his fiancée than God. Well, hey, that can happen. That often happens with young people relationships. You find somebody and they're everything. But it was good. He was aware of that through this pain. That he saw that, hey, my center was not the Lord, it was my fiancée, and once she broke up with me, I was done in for a while. But again, he took the time, he stepped back, he did have some grounding in faith, took another look, and realized, and he basically shared this too, that if he would have been really centered in the Lord, really grounded there, he may not have gone through as much pain and struggle and hurt and anger as he did over the last 2 years. Hey, the best of us in faith can have our difficult moments. I mean, even Jesus on the cross felt abandoned and said, my God, why have you abandoned me? So it's understandable you can have faith and still go through pain, still go through anger, still go through doubt. But he was basically saying that it went over 2 years, and he was stuck in it for a long time. But that now he was coming out of it and realizing God didn't do this. And in fact, he was a little bit of perspective on things, which we can get in faith, looking at a past situation. And his new perspective was possibly the Lord had influenced him and prompted him to be in that RCIA journey, that he would have the faith that would help him deal with this tough circumstance. But at least initially it didn't. But again, over a 2-year period, yeah, it did. And he realized now, as he said, and I'll never forget, he said, now I realize I want this faith not for my fiance, not for my future family, kids and all that. I want this faith for me. I know the Lord, first of all, wants to touch and deepen my faith. And I'm in this RCIA journey with that sense. And I thought, wow, how good, and commended him on that. And I said, stay in touch. And I'd love to hear how it goes. In fact, I remember that year, he called me on Easter Sunday to tell me he had been at the vigil the night before and brought him to full communion with the church, and it meant so much. I thought back to his faith, and obviously thought of John in today's gospel. It certainly seemed like initially when I saw him on that first RCIA journey, he had rock solid faith. He was able to talk well with the Lord. He was able to pray spontaneously out loud. But then I think the first part of that gospel where it says, it's not those who cry out, Lord, Lord, who enter the kingdom of heaven, but those who really do the will of my heavenly Father. Those who are so centered in God. Because let's face it, I know this, I've had my moments. It can be easy to be expressive, easy to be enthusiastic, but how deep is that faith really run? Especially when sooner or later it may come to the test. And so for him, it was kind of external, and I'm sure there was something genuine in there, but it wasn't rock solid faith to deal with a very difficult time in his life. And again, I want to make very clear that people can go through some tough stuff, and it may not be easy, even with faith. But one of the things in the recent last couple of years, I've done some workshops, we do church missions and everything through Heart to Heart, and more people are asking us to talk about resilience. And I'm sure we all know the virtue of resilience basically is, hey, we can go through some tough stuff, some painful moments, some difficult hurts, and we can have great pain and maybe anger and frustration. But the virtue of resilience means we don't stay stuck there. Oh, we're there for a while, but we come out of it, hopefully because of our faith with the Lord's help.